living approach. A really, really cool message and presentation on that. So I want to introduce you guys to my friend and mentor, Ed Daly.
All right. Well, thank you, Chelsea. Is it still cold up in Rochester?
Um, sort of.
Sort
Yes
of.
and no.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Not as cold as when you were here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to Peru on Thursday, so it's going to be like 60s and 40s, and I'm actually looking forward to that.
Oh my gosh. It's in Florida,
I'm going
guys.
to talk a little bit before we get started, a little bit about how these modules came about. First of all, if you don't know me, I really don't wait for anyone at Young Living to tell me what to do. I kind of just create it on my own. And so that's been one of my signature things that I've brought to Young Living in the last 10 years of doing education for them. Several years ago, I went and I had a functional medicine evaluation. And for those of you who don't know, functional medicine is a form of medicine that's practiced today that's really looking at getting to the root cause of the problem that you have. Or, as you know, I don't really like to call them diseases. I like to call them projects. So it gets to the root cause of the project that you're currently undergoing. And when I started looking into functional medicine, I just became infatuated because one of the things you may not know is that 80% of all doctor visits in the United States are for the treatment of chronic illness, but doctors in the United States aren't trained in the treatment of chronic illness outside of big pharma. So when you go to the doc, you can expect him or her to give you a prescription. And what I love about functional medicine is that it helps you to approach and look at a system or a core principle, as they call it, and get to the root cause of it to correct the problem. And that's what I really like. So we're going to talk a little bit tonight about one of the core principles, which is detoxification. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up my screen for me. I don't know if you guys, I don't think I can share it with you guys, but if you want to take notes, that's great. Chelsea does have this PowerPoint presentation. So if there's a slide or some information that you're looking for, certainly we can get it to you afterwards. So when we look at a definition of detoxification, it's the physiological removal of toxic substances from a living organism, which is mainly carried out by your liver. So the liver has a huge job in the overall process of detoxification, but it's not the only organ that's really involved. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and in the functional medicine realm, these are ways in which you can assess, do I really kind of have a problem in this area, or am I actually doing okay? So if you're answering yes to like one or two, you're probably okay, but if you're answering yes to all of them, you've got some major concerns here. So number one, do you wake up with brain fog pretty steadily? So you wake up in the morning, you're not sure, okay, where am I? Like, what do I got to do today? Do you get skin rashes a lot? In Chinese medicine, when you look at the liver and its relationships to the body, it has a great relationship to the skin, obviously, because if we're not detoxifying things, we're going to hold on to them. Do you get unexplained muscle pain often? Do you wake up a bit groggy? And are you often tired? So these are great questions just to kind of take a mental note and say, okay, well, I seem to be doing pretty good. And there's actually a lot more. The book that I would ask you all to read is called The Disease Delusion by Dr. Jeffrey Bland. And Dr. Bland is actually the sort of the father of functional medicine. And he's done an amazing job in this book making seemingly complex things seemingly be very easy. So when we look to nature, our natural response to a foreign invader is to reject it. And this is known as xenobiotics. So xenos meaning stranger, bios meaning life. And this process is very, very individual and difficult to figure out in most people. And no two people on this call are going to have the same level of detoxification or ease of detoxification. Some will have a harder time, some will have less. So Dr. Bernard Brodie was a physician, and he was the founder of the Laboratory for Chemical Pharmacology. And Dr. Brodie was instrumental at figuring out that there was an enzyme system within the body that was helping to detoxify foreign chemicals and all the things that we come across on a day-to-day basis. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So this system is known as the CYP 450 enzyme system. Now, this enzyme system has over 50 enzymes. And what's really cool is that each of these has its own link to a gene. It's located in the liver, and its main job is to help metabolize and detoxify substances that we come in contact on a daily basis. It also helps to protect against these foreign invaders. It protects from toxic bacteria that's produced within our intestinal tracts, and it helps to decontaminate some metabolic byproducts. And when we talk about heavy metals a little bit later, I'm going to help you understand that this system isn't really that big a help at all. Now, some of you may be going, okay, if I don't detox that well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that over time, these toxins, if they're not excreted from the body, what they do is they take up rent space, and they're not paying any rent to you. They're actually causing a lot of harm. So they build up over time. And it's usually much later when we start to have some type of physiological problem within our body that we start to say, okay, well, something's going on here. But there's a lot of unseen internal damage. So when you have toxic overload, it's mainly you have to start asking the right questions to get to the point where, yes, I'm actually holding on to a lot of toxins in my body. So let's look at the process of detoxification and elimination. It's pretty easy, actually. So all your toxins that we have in the air, the water, the foods that we eat, the chemicals and petrochemicals that we're exposed to with, beauty care products or skincare products, personal care products, they all enter through the lungs, the skin, your largest organ, and or the gut. And it's the liver's job primarily to help to rid these toxins out some of the same pathways. So a lot of the toxins can be sweated out through the skin. That's why I love saunas, because they do a great job of doing that. The kidneys, the colon, and the lungs themselves. Now, what happens and where do they go if they kind of stick around and we don't get rid of them? Well, they love fat cells. So, those people who are a little bit overweight or carrying some extra weight, then that the body loves that. The toxins love that. They got a great place to hide. But they also hide in the bone marrow. They actually hide in the liver themselves, the central nervous system, your joints, which is another great question. If you're waking up with joint pain every day, elbows, shoulders, hips, knees, whatever, it's another sign that you're probably a little bit holding on to too many toxins. They stay in the blood, they stay in the fatty tissues, and they also stay within the muscles. Now, when we talk about detoxification basics, these toxic substances that we're exposed to every day, well, they kind of behave like fat molecules. The problem is that blood's principal component is water. So you can see water and fat don't mix. So the toxins get stuck in these fatty regions of the body. So we've got to convert these toxins into a water-like substance. And this is the main job of the CYP450 enzyme system. And there's a second process that happens once these toxins get identified. There's these things called conjugated enzymes, and they're found in the liver as well. So they kind of get involved too, and they add a chemical to this process. And then this helps these toxins get transported to the GI system. So you can either poop them out in a day, or you can urinate them out. So those are the two main systems of the body that are going to help you to rid, also sweat as well. But those are the two main systems that are going to help you get rid of a lot of these problems. Now, I love Dr. Bland. I've actually seen him one time speak, and he was actually talking about detoxification, and he said, dilution is the solution to the pollution. And many of you that are on this call probably are dehydrated. Most of us do not drink enough water every day. And so I start my day every morning when I wake up. I have a nice big glass of some filtered water. When I'm at Jenna's house, it's great. She's got her own spring, so all the water is super clean there. But every day I start my day out with at least 16 ounces of water. And then over the course of the day, I'm drinking 8, 10, 12, 16 ounces. So I probably drink a couple of gallons of water every day, and that's really good for the kidneys. Most of us also with a modern diet, not everyone, are actually not getting enough fiber. I've got an amazing recipe. I love lentils, and I have an amazing recipe that I use with lentils and a couple of other beans as well, and some really nice spice, and adding some of our vitality oils as well, a little fresh sour cream, some chives, some cilantro, a little brown rice. I cook that up, and I could really eat that all week. But lentils are a really good source. I'm sure you have your own favorite source of fiber as well. Everyone on the call will detox differently. Again, I'm going to say that again because it's really important to understand that no two people are alike, and there's so many factors that can affect the detoxification process within you. Now, Dr. Bland also talked about knowing the enemies within, and that's really super important because we have to know what we're up against. And when we're talking about detoxification, I just met a lady the other day, and she's just like, started asking questions, and it was very evident to me after about 5 questions, she's really got a lot of issues with detoxification in her body. And the first thing that I introduced her to, I said, well, have you heard of our Thieves line with Young Living? She says, no, tell me more about it. So we had a great conversation, gave her some information about Young Living. We'll follow up with her next week. But this was the door that she walked through. So not everybody walks through the essential oil door. Some walk through the supplement door. But the Thieves line is a great way to say, hey, that laundry detergent, that dishwasher detergent, that cleaner that you use, like those are all adding to the problem and holding on and exposing you to a lot of toxins. So whenever we're overloaded with toxins, the GI's bacterial system, the microbiome, those 100 trillion different bacteria with 10,000 different species of cells, they're greatly affected as well. And so it puts them out of balance. And when this goes out of balance, there's a great ripple effect through the body. So unlike in modern medicine, where if you go to the orthopedic doctor and you break a wrist or an arm, like they're primarily concerned with just fixing the bone. Where in functional medicine, we're looking to say, hey, okay, everything in the body is related. And if there's a problem with one system, it's going to have a ripple effect throughout. Well, they did some research a few years ago in Belgium at a Catholic university in Belgium, and they looked at and explored the alteration of an intestinal bacteria based on people's lifestyle, their stress, their diet, their medication, and the toxins that they were exposed to. And it's no big surprise that when they found people who were carrying a lot of these toxins, what they found was there was a change in the ratio of the gut bacteria, 85-15, 85 good, 15 bad. So it might have been 80-20, 70-30. That's a term that's called dysbiosis. When that 85-15 ratio gets out of whack, it's a dysbiotic ratio now. It's not a healthy ratio. And it also increased the number of endotoxins within the body. Now, there's a couple of terms that I like. So one of the old terms that Young Living used to use was bioaccumulation. So the biological unit, your body, is accumulating all these toxins over time. In functional medicine, they call it the total load effect. So imagine, just have an image of a Sherpa hiking up Mount Everest with a backpack on their back that's twice the size of them, and that's 300 pounds. That's basically the burden that's happening within the body. So when we look to the health of the gut plays a major relationship to this detoxification process. So we're trying not to introduce as much junk, so to say, into the body so that the body's healthy and can detoxify easy. So we look at 4 hours of gut health from a functional medicine standpoint. Remove. If you don't know where to start with gluten, dairy, and sugar. That should keep you busy for a little while. Replace. We need enzymes, and we're going to talk about those in a little bit because enzymes help decrease the amount of energy and oxidation that the body has to do to break down food. We have to reinoculate, which we have to give it the probiotics, i.e. Life9, and then we have to replenish. We have to give the gut things like pantothenic acid, B5. We have to give it zinc. We have to give it magnesium. So products that come to mind for replenishing the gut, Master Formula, Ningxia Red. I like Super Bee because it's got great bees in there as well. And so these are just a couple of products that come to mind. There's another doc. He was a cardiovascular surgeon. His name was Dr. William Ray. And Dr. William Ray became neurologically impaired back in the 90s. Now, this is a guy who was doing several open heart surgeries a week. And he basically couldn't do his job anymore because he was impaired. His body had become so toxic, he couldn't even perform surgery anymore. And what's interesting about Dr. Ray is that he actually pioneered the environmental medicine movement. So this guy was like very instrumental in saying, hey, we need to look at, environmental medicine as a solid form of medicine. Some of the things that he did in his own personal life, I mean, he went in his house and he spared no, like he didn't take no for an answer. He removed all synthetic materials, including carpets, paints, and flooring. He had air and water purification systems. Now, I'm here in Florida tonight, and if I was to take you into my garage, there's a huge carbon filter. It's huge, and when the water comes in from the main water system here in Manatee County, it's met by this big carbon filter, which purifies it, and then the water travels to my really cool refrigerator, and it's got another little carbon filter in there. So I've had the water tested. It's basically like super clean spring water, and which is really good. And you want air purification systems in your house as well. So there's one that I really like. It's called the Molecule, and they're really nice. They're about $800. But having those in your house or taking the mold and maybe any other particulates in the air that are in there, the viruses and bacteria, and kills them all, which is super cool. All his clothing had natural fibers. He ate all organic food. And again, no gluten, dairy, or sugar. He used no perfumes or colognes. I mean, why would you? You have Shutron if you're a man. Hello. And he ditched his cell phone. And even on your cell phone, folks, this is one of the things that Jenna has taught me is that, you can get these EMF pads for your phone, even your computers. Like, don't put your computer on your chest because of the radiation that comes off of that. It can be very toxic for you. There's another great doctor as well. I know I'm talking about a lot of docs tonight, but these people have been so instrumental. And Dr. Elizabeth Jeffrey was a professor at the University of Illinois Division of Nutritional Sciences. She's been working on how cruciferous vegetables promote detoxification. And she's been a pioneer in the field. And so I'm going to ask all of you, if you like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, or cauliflower, bravo to you, because they contain these compounds called glucosinolates. And when you so the best way to prepare these vegetables is to cut them in half. Like, I'm going to talk about Brussels sprouts because I love them. I cut the Brussels sprouts in half. I have some extra virgin olive oil in a glass pan. I put that in there, a little Himalayan salt, couple of drops of Vitality black pepper, and I'll let them sit for 45 minutes before cooking them in the oven. And what happens is, in the same with broccoli and cauliflower, they start to emit these compounds, and these compounds are so special because what they do is they turn on the genetic expression for detoxification and immunity. I'm going to say that again. When you eat Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and cauliflower, it turns on your genetic expression for detoxification and immunity. So I know when I'm eating these vegetables, my body is detoxifying at a much more rapid rate. Now, the white button cap mushroom, same thing. And when you're cooking these vegetables, don't cook them until they're like mushy soft. Like, I like my Brussels sprouts just cooked for maybe about 20 minutes, and that's about it. I like mushrooms sauteed just a little bit so they retain some of their firmness. You don't want to cook out all the wonderful compounds in there. When these genes are turned on, this is called inducible. So broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts are inducible vegetables, which is super cool. And this is all part of another thing that we'll be delving into in the next few years. It's called nutrigenetics. And I've got a super large book in my office that I haven't even got into yet because I'm so darn busy. And we're going to get into that because they've got some wonderful information on how foods turn on and turn off your body's genetic expression. So the main compounds that you get introduced to by broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts are called indole-3 and sulforaphane. And guess what? The more you eat, the more powerful outcome that you have. Now, there's this thing that it's called a detox diet. And these are just it's not your traditional diet, like I'm going to lose weight. But if you're looking to detoxify and you're looking to eat to detoxify, then you want to focus on certain areas. So you want a high intake of organic fruits, vegetables, and beans. Again, organic if possible. If not possible, if you have limited income, please use these fruit and veggie spray. Let your veggies soak, let all that stuff get over there. You want a moderate intake of meat, eggs, and fish. Okay, that's pretty simple. What's interesting when you look at diets and people who live the longest, it's not necessarily vegetarians. It's actually pescatarians, those who consume fish and very little or no meat or chicken. You want a very low intake of sugar. Sugar causes a cytokine storm in the body, basically an inflammatory storm, and it creates these wonderful little things called advanced glycation end products, which inflame all parts of your body, including your gut. And then we eat dairy, which is another thing we have to be mindful of, because dairy is inflammatory as well, and any processed foods. Okay, so you want a low intake of sugar, dairy, and processed foods. So there's this thing called the alkaline ash diet, and you can look it up for a little bit more information on it. It helps to decrease acid metabolic byproducts because you want your body to be alkaline. I love alkaline, by the way. You know, that water that I drink every morning, I usually put a little packet of alkaline in there to start my day, because what you don't know is overnight you've been becoming more acidic. Okay, these metabolic byproducts that happen help prevent the elimination via the kidneys, so the kidneys aren't excreting as much toxins as you want. And then we have to add potassium citrate after every meal. And potassium citrate helps to improve the body's acid-alkaline balance. Now, I'm sure a lot of you love green tea, and if you are one of those people, we have good news for you. They contain something called catechins. Catechins are flavonoids, antioxidants, and they actually promote liver health. So if you don't like green tea, maybe you should rethink that decision. Now, if you've known me and you've heard me speak, I talk a lot about turmeric. Turmeric and the curcumins in turmeric are actually essential. There's 6,800 clinical studies on turmeric. If you are not taking turmeric, rethink that decision. There's some wonderful products out there that are liposomal. Turmeric is very poorly absorbed in the gut. So you have to wrap it in a fat molecule. And then when you ingest it, it unwraps the fat molecule and increases what we call the bioavailability, which basically says it makes more of the turmeric compounds and the curcumins available for the uptake depending on your gut health. Now, those curcumins are really super important for the liver's ability to detox. It boosts bile production in the gallbladder, and the liver uses bile to rid the body of toxins. All right. So I know that some of you are red wine drinkers, and that's awesome, because those compounds in there that are called resveratrol, these are antioxidant compounds in wine. And in blue zone areas of the world, that's one of the things that these 5 areas of the world have, where these people live to be tremendously ripe old ages of 100 and more. They're drinking a couple of glasses of red wine a night. And I'm going to caveat by saying a couple of glasses, not a couple of bottles. All right. Watercress and pomegranates. For all the guys, if there's any guys on the call, pomegranates are super, super, super beneficial for the dude's prostate. Like, if I had known this 30 years ago, I would have been consuming a lot more pomegranates, and also watercress as well. These two are really beneficial in helping to promote the detoxification process in the body. Now, there's this thing, it's called ellagic acid. It's actually found in fruits and vegetables. It's very prevalent in berries as well, and it's a potent antioxidant to help in toxin removal. Now, I want you to think which one of our products that is so well loved by all the people around the world, which one of our products has ellagic acid in it? I'm sure you can guess. So in review, these foods help genetic expression that help to regulate the detoxification process, and they also help to increase that total load effect or the bioaccumulation. Now, as I said, we're going to talk a little bit about heavy metals. And you know, when we get a buildup of heavy metals in the body, the nervous system, the immune system, and the cardiovascular system take the brunt of punishment from all these heavy metals. Like, I remember going to the dentist when I was a kid, and we got these mercury fillings in our mouth. And then I had to go back, you know, later on in life and have them all taken out and, you know, have something else put in. So the 3 deadly players are lead, mercury, and cadmium. And as I said earlier, the CYP450 enzyme system is of no help at all. So we have to look to food and some other things. And guess what? Well, in food, in some foods that I'm going to tell you about in a second, they contain these compounds called methylthionines. And methionines are a family of proteins that help to detoxify the heavy metals in the body. And these methionines are high in a sulfur amino acid cysteine. Cysteine binds very well to heavy metals, and that's called chelation. So if this is cysteine and this is a heavy metal, cysteine, actually chelation actually comes from the Greek word claw-like. It basically grasps on to that heavy metal and then drags it to the GI or the GU system so we can excrete it or urinate it. So if you are a lover of garlic, you like leeks, you love onions, and you love asparagus, you are doing your body a tremendous justice by eating those foods on a regular basis. Tonight, I had a wonderful some peppers and onions that I cooked up with a little bit of garlic, and I have some fresh asparagus I threw over the top, and I used a little bit on some rice, and that's a meal for me because I know that, especially with travel, I've got to help in my detoxification process. Now, when we look to Young Living for the difference, well, guess what? There's actually quite a few products we can help with the process as well. So we're going to talk about that. The first one is Vitality GLF. Okay, I love this product. I take 5 drops in a veggie cap in the morning and 5 drops in a veggie cap in the evening. And people tell me all the time, Ed, that is an expensive essential oil. And I'm like, I'm worth every penny of it, and so is my health and wellness. So, if finances are an issue, everyone, just use it sparingly, but definitely make sure that you utilize that. I personally love Essential Zymes 4. Again, we want to give the body the help it needs to break down food so that we're not building up toxins. I love its time-release technology, animal and plant-based. It breaks down foods and helps with optimum absorption. Now, I switch on and off I'll do a box of Essential Zymes 4, and then I go back to regular Essential Zymes because I like to switch up my enzyme protocol. In the morning and in the evening, I'm consuming at least 5 to 10 Detoxime and at least 5 to 10 Detoxime in the evening. This helps with the digestion itself, helps with the detoxification process, and helps promote overall cleansing. And the next item I'd like to talk about is K&B. Your urinary system and your kidneys need a lot of help. The K&B is the boon to support the kidney and bladder health. Juniper berries, it's got parsley, it's got Erva ursi, which has been used for years to help as a tonic and a mild diuretic and an astringent for the kidney and bladder system. Now, multigreens are another great product. These were originally called Vitagreens by Gary. They were the very first product that Gary put essential oils in, and Sherry Ross taught me this a few years ago. It's a very dense chlorophyll infusion. It helps support the circulatory, glandular, and nervous systems. It has choline in it, and that's a macronutrient that's vital for nerve and liver function, so it does support the liver. And it also has cysteine. I remember what we said about cysteine a few minutes ago. We said that it's a chelator. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, so it's going to probably help with the heavy metals as well. But also cysteine helps with glutathione production, and glutathione is the master antioxidant. So that's one of the things, and it comes with Melissa oil as well in there. So it's just a great overall product. Digest and cleanse for the GI system, helps to soothe the bowel, prevents gas, promotes normal stomach secretions, aids in digestion. A lot of times if we're getting bound up and, we're not moving our bowels at least twice a day, 3 times a day, you're holding on to all those endotoxins. So you really want to, I'm asked this question a lot, like what's optimum? Well, everyone's different, but usually 2 to 3 times a day, you want to be having a bowel movement. That's minimum. Some people are more, of course, some people are less. Sulfurzyme. Yes, sulfurzyme is also beneficial for the immune system. It helps support the liver. It helps support circulation, helps support proper intestinal function. Most of you love it for its benefits because it makes the joints happy, but it also scavenges up free radicals as well, which is super cool. Now, those of you not getting enough fiber, ICP is a great, great product. And please, if you're going to take ICP, make sure you're drinking plenty of water with that because it is got the psyllium operin and flax and fennel seeds as fiber in there. And if you're not taking that, you're going to get bound up and get constipated, and that's not what you want. Juvatone is another excellent product, which I like for detoxification. And I just want to caveat here. So, just when you're starting to think about all these products I'm talking about, one can get overwhelmed. And so you have to ask, like, where do I need the most help? Is it in my GI system? Is it my GU system? Is it just to help with, detoxifying with the foods I'm eating? So just, you can do your own self-assessment. And if you have questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. You can reach out to me on social media. But Juvitone is a great source of choline. It's also vital for proper liver function. The methionine that's in there helps recycle the glutathione, which is also good as well. It also contains Oregon grapefruit, and the Oregon grapefruit contains berberine. Berberine helps to support the liver as well, and the berberine localizes in the mitochondria, which are the energy centers of the cells. So in summary, this detoxification process is to help defend us from all these toxins. Again, it's very individual. The most common signs and symptoms are toxicity are related to your immune and nervous system, and you can very easily set up a program to help and promote the detoxification process for yourself. And certainly, again, if you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. So, in fact, if you do, let's maybe open it up to some questions, Chelsea. What do you think?
Yes. Can you see the chat bar, Ed?
Yeah, I can. If people have a question, why don't you, because I like to see faces. That's always the nice thing. I always feel like I'm talking to a crowd of people that I can't see. So maybe just unmute your thing and go ahead and ask me a question if you want to.
You guys can unmute. Or you can type it out, whatever you want. So there are a few. Somebody said, is alkaline better in the morning? And then Danielle said, what if you can't use multigreens? And then we have, can a 12-year-old girl take most of these?
12-year-olds usually can, yes. If you can't use multigreens, you can't use multigreens. I mean, you can look to find some of the, I don't know what the reason why you can't use multigreens, but if there's other things that are in multigreens that you could use, maybe you just focus on those things as well. So I'm not quite sure. And then what was the first question? I like alkaline in the morning again. I also like it in the evening too. I love wine. I love a couple glasses of wine a night. But after I have my wine, I drink a big 16-ounce thing of water, and I'm doing the alkaline as well because the wine will actually acidify in the body. And again, we want a very alkaline body. So nothing wrong with a couple packets of alkaline a day.
And then somebody said, what if you can't use multigreens?
Yeah, I think I answered that. So I'm not sure what the reason is why they can't use multigreens. But if you look inside multigreens and you figure out what it is that's causing the problem in there, you could probably find other ways to supplement around that.
Okay, and then we have, I have a hard time remembering to take essential zymes 1 hour before a meal. How important is that?
It's important, and if you're having a hard time, then just make it easy for yourself. So I usually will set, if I'm having a difficulty doing something, I just send myself little reminder dings on my phone, and it says, okay, don't forget to take your essential zymes or something like that. Like I need reminders sometimes because of my extremely busy schedule. So it's something to think about. Send yourself a reminder somehow.
And then we have, let's see, if you need support for the nervous system, where do you start? Example, if you're feeling overwhelmed with daily activities.
Meditate. How about a yoga class? If you're feeling overwhelmed, it's like the stress is only going to help increase your body's total load effect and hinder the detoxification process. So yes, getting yourself as calm and relaxed as possible, meditation and a 15-minute yoga practice will help. It's not always a pill. It's not always a supplement that we have to take. Sometimes it's a lifestyle event that we have to do. I mean, I just had this talk with my daughter last night who's been feeling very overwhelmed. And I'm like, okay, well, guess what? Today, we're going to start today, and you're going to start walking every day, and you're going to start doing yoga every day. And today was day 1. And she said to me, thank you, Dad.
Okay, then we have, what about people with the MTFHR gene. Will this help them detox as well? I have that gene, Danielle.
Can you answer that question?
I use all of those enzymes.
No.
So I would say absolutely.
And then the person said she can't use multigreens because of gluten. Okay, so I don't know. Then I guess if you have a gluten intolerance and you can't use them, look to see what's in there. Mainly cysteine, if you can find. Maybe you look to foods that are high in cysteine as a supplement then to help. That and whatever the choline that's in there as well. I always look to nutrition. I do, and just I'll give you guys a little insight to where things are going in the next year. I'm going to be creating a whole 10 or 12 modules. It's going to be called Eat to Thrive. And it's going to all talk about nutrition and how nutrition can help 5 major systems in the body function efficiently. And it's all going to be food-based. So it's not just essential oils. It's not just the supplements. It's the lifestyle we lead that leads us up to that. The meditation, the yoga, the walking, the exercise. It's a combination that really helps us to live in a state of optimum health.
Yes. Carrie Ford asked, she said, so is it just, she had the question before about enzymes. She said, so is it just away from the meal that's important to take the essential enzymes, or is it truly before, that's important? She said, unfortunately, her meals are not intentional enough for her to set an alarm.
Okay. Then just take them at some point in the afternoon. Like if you know you're going to be eating in an hour or so, you can just take them then. I carry sleeves of Essential Zymes with me everywhere I go. So it's like if I'm out and, after this, I'm going down to where my daughter's working, I'm going to go grab some fish tacos because the fish just came in right off the boat today, nice and fresh. So I'm going to go down there. But on the way down there, I'll pop, 4 Essential Zyme 4s just before I go down. So just play it by ear, but carry sleeves of the Essential Zymes 4 with you or the Essential Zymes themselves wherever you go, and then it's just super convenient.
And then we have Jen Bennett asked, doctor recommended Benefiber. Would ICP be comparable?
Benefiber is a joke. ICP would be better.
Yeah. ICP, yeah.
ICP, yes. Again, just make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Again, doctors, you have to understand, doctors, they understand a little bit, but they get maybe 40 hours of nutritional training when they're going through med school. That's it. And then that book that they have is used as a doorstopper. They don't look to food as medicine. And that's the big difference in functional medicine, is that they really they really look at food as medicine. So someone's saying here, Mish talked about switching the Essential Zymes, Essential Zymes 4. The Essential Zymes and Essential Zymes 4 have a little bit of a different makeup. And I am a proponent of not letting the body assimilate to a product. So currently I'm cycling on with some K and B. I'm going to cycle on for a month. I'm going to cycle off. I use this so my body doesn't become assimilated to it. I love Essential Zymes, and I switch to Essential Zymes 4, and then I actually go to Allerzyme. And the reason is the different makeup of enzymes in there, the body doesn't know how to adapt to it. So that's why that's just a personal theory that I've learned a long time ago that I really like. So there's different benefits which you have. Both are going to aid in digestion. So they're both going to be good, but I like switching up the protocols.
Yeah, I was just typing
Lots of questions, Chelsea. I love this.
Yes. Brandy asked, what about fasting to detox?
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. I love intermittent fasting at least 2 days a week if you want to do that. So currently in spring and fall, we're getting ready to come into fall season. So I'll do intermittent fasting 2 days a week. So I'll wake up at 7 a.m. I'll have a light breakfast, and then I won't have anything else till 7 a.m. the next morning. And that's a really good way for your body to go after fat cells if you want to lose weight, a little bit of weight, especially around the abdomen for men and women as we get older. But it also rests the digestive system, which I really love as well too. Remember, it takes a lot of energy to actually digest food. And what they're finding, I'm building out a new module on energy. And this is one of the things I found out. It's that people who are eating less actually have more energy because of the requirements of the mitochondria inside the cell to actually help to, get this food and the oxygenation process. So the less you eat, the better. But certainly there's a lot of things that contribute to that as well.
Melissa said, I'd love to do that, but I shake if I don't eat. How do you avoid that? Are you hypoglycemic, Melissa? I personally, oh, okay. Just because like, that's what, yeah, I usually like sip on Ningxia Red and it helps a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Would be good. Even a little Zing would be good because it's got a little bit of sugars in there, so that would help as well. Even if you can go 12 hours in fast and then just eat light for a couple of days, it's going to be better than consuming so much food, right, that your body goes into overload.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, and Melissa said, I work for a functional doctor and she leads with food as medicine first. That's freaking amazing. That's so cool. I did not know that. I love it. Donna said, do you suggest a month on and then off for each of them? Essential Zyme 4, Allerzyme?
Yeah, I switch up the protocol, Chelsea, because I like to, as I said, I like to switch up protocols. I don't like my body to adapt to anything. But also with any of the other supplements we talked about, like, here's the thing. You don't always need all the supplements we talk about all the time. As Pamela Hunter says, right? Pamela's like, you got to vibe in, right? Pamela's always like, you got to vibe in. You got to vibe in what your body needs. Like, and that's what we have to do. We have to vibe in to say, okay, what's going on? Once you start to learn what questions to ask, then you go, okay, I'm going to vibe in and I'm going to be doing some ICP. I definitely need multigreens. I definitely need sulfurzyme, like those kinds of things. And then cycle on and cycle off. Like some people say, I never miss a day of sulfurzyme. Okay. The body adapts to that and eventually you need more and that's okay. But see, I like it because I want my body to get back to that natural state of homeostasis where it doesn't really need anything. It just needs me to do what I do every day and to eat healthy and to exercise and meditate and have fun and be happy. That's all it needs me to do.
And I just had something come to me. Who asked about the multigreens? Were you afraid of like the barley in it, the barley grass? Because I was just listening to a video. Let me know if that's what you were nervous about in the multigreens. If I'm remembering correctly, I was listening to a video and they said that unless you're like a very, very sensitive, like celiac, then you should be okay with barley. Like people who are even sensitive to gluten were being okay with it. Okay, you have celiac? Okay. So yeah, never mind.
Right.
Yeah, but if you guys are just sensitive to gluten and if you don't have celiac, then you should be okay. And I think it was Lindsay Elmore that was saying it on a video. I can't remember.
Right.
Yeah, I just did this all this research on it. Okay. Sorry, that just came to me. Kimberly said, do you still take all of your supplements when fasting?
Sure. Why not? Just drink them with some Ningxia Red.
And you guys, if you guys have never fasted before, you will be surprised how much you still go to the bathroom because stuff is still
moving.
It's still, it's moving up.
So one woman's having surgery Friday, and as a result of this illness, I realized I need to change the way I care for my body. Of all the macronutrients, what would it be the top ones to focus on? Well, that's actually a great question for you. Where do you feel like you need to put your focus and your attention? Like, I don't know, is it Jennifer? I don't know, Jennifer, but Jennifer, if I was to sit across from you, I would say, what do you need to focus on? What part of self-care do you need to start at? And just start small. Don't worry about all these things at once. Just pick one thing and be successful at it. Like I did with my daughter. It's just like, I'm not overwhelming her and saying, okay, you're an emotional wreck. I'm saying, okay, you're going to start with walking. That's it. 4 days a week. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do yoga for 15 minutes a day. That's all I've asked her to do, to go for a walk and do 15 minutes of yoga. And I said, can you do that? And she said, yes. So just figure out, where do you need to start? For most people, starting in the gut is probably the best. So taking enzymes, again, Chelsea's heard me say this umpteen times, but I don't have a team. But if I had a team and you were on my team, in order to have access to the education that I was going to give you as team lead, I would, on your ER every month would be Ningxia Red, Master Formula, Lifetime. And if those products weren't on there on your ER every month, then you would not have access to the education. And, you know, some people say, well, that's kind of arrogant and bold, but it's just, I realize the value of all of them. And, you know, illness is only an issue in the absence of health. So we want healthy. Where do you start? What's the one thing when you get off of this today? Like, what is the one thing that you have to change, Jennifer, that you know in your mind that you have to change? And start there and just do that for 60 days. And after 60 days, you've created a new neurological pattern within the body and the mind. And then you go to the next step. And then you take on the next project, which you have to do. So I hope that makes sense.
Yes, love it. Maggie said, I've taken digestive enzymes with ox bile in the past due to no gallbladder. What would work?
Say that again. I didn't. She's taking what?
Digestive enzymes with ox bile, like OX bile.
I've never heard of ox bile. Is it a bile replacement? It sounds like it's a bile replacement.
In the past, due to no gallbladder.
Right. Okay.
That would make sense.
Yeah, so that's fine. You could take that and just realize that, you know, if you're taking the ox bile, that's going to help with helping in the detoxification process as well, because you don't have a gallbladder, which is a common question. So yes, definitely that would help, and just continue to take enzymes as well. And one of the things that I just said to Jared the other day, I saw him at the corporate headquarters, and I'm just like, dude, we have to teach people the why. And that's what I love about these modules that we're creating, is that you understand, oh, okay, this is detoxification, and here's the supplements that help support this process. So I'm taking this process for many reasons, but mainly to help promote detoxification in the body. So it's a super simple recipe on how to do this. So one of the things that, I don't know if you all remember Nature's Remedies, which was a educational series from 2013 to 15. I'm asking Young Living to rebrand that into Nature's Solutions, and we're going to talk about these 7 core principles for anyone who wants to listen.
Awesome.
Yes.
I don't see any more questions, so if you guys have one, type it fast or forever.
hold your bioaccumulation.
Okay, I have 2 skin patches that came out of nowhere, and I can't seem to get rid of them. Doctor gave me a steroid for them, got rid of them temporarily, but they came back. What do you recommend to put on them? Remember, skin is always like something going on internally. So
it's liver.
Yeah.
It's liver. I would really focus on cleaning up the liver. It's probably an indicator right there that you've got a little bit of a toxic overload going on within the body. And I would start with a couple of days of intermittent fasting if you can this week. And then I would start on, if you're not taking enzymes as much as you can. Maybe doing a small little, doing some digestion cleanse at nighttime. I know there's a lot of people can get really good results with Detoxing. I love Detoxing. That's one of my favorite supplements that Gary made. So, it's just your body saying, hey, pay attention to me, because I'm going to start putting these little patches on your skin that aren't going to make you feel so nice about yourself. So, use that as a little wake-up call to really clean out a little bit too. Also, the Master Cleanse is really good, everyone. You could do a couple of days on Master Cleanse, which is, grade B maple syrup, cayenne, filtered water, and lemon. That's a great, inexpensive way to do a 2-day cleanse as well. And that really helps really recharge and regenerate the liver as well. So anyways, I don't know. I think that's probably 50 minutes. That's a good amount of time. I don't like to give too much information. So hopefully you enjoyed this, Chelsea. Should we do it again sometime?
Oh, absolutely.
I think maybe next month we can talk a little bit about defense.
Yes.
And then maybe in November we can talk a little bit about the new module that I should have through conduct on energy. So,
that would be amazing.
That seems to be everyone wants to know about how to get more energy.
Hey, Ed, can I ask a question before you guys jump off?
Sure.
I couldn't figure out, my phone's not typing for whatever reason.
Okay.
My son is 1, and he has to have minor surgery next month. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that I can do for him to help detox from, like, the anesthesia and all that?
Turn to foods. Hydrate him. So the anesthesia will stick around in fat cells, and it'll stick around. And most of all the drugs are detoxified by the liver and by the kidneys. So what you want to do, because he's so young, you want to just use nutrition and food to help promote that as much as possible. So as much fluids as possible, get those kidneys pumping and moving, right? And then after that, foods that are going to be high in fiber, that's going to scrape the intestinal tract and scour all that stuff that's sticking around in there, so he can, have more frequent bowel movements for probably 2 to 3 days. And then you can kind of tone it down again, because after 72 hours, it'll all be out of his system anyway. So just look to foods and look to hydration that's been my suggestion.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And we'll say lots of prayers for your little one, and I'm sure he'll do well.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for jumping on today. Chelsea, thank you for organizing this. Share this, take what you learned tonight, start talking to people about it on your team. If you are friends with 3 or 4 people on this call, then get together and start figuring out how you're going to talk to everybody about maybe Detoxing or Digest and Cleanse, or the importance of enzymes overall, and starting to help people to understand. Remember, when people understand why they're taking something, they're much more likely to buy it again. If they don't understand the value of it, then they are not going to buy it again. So that's really your job, because you're all educators just like me. And it's hopefully our mission in life is to help people to understand. So Chelsea, any last questions or comments before we wrap up?
No, thank you so much, Ed. This was amazing. And I know
this is amazing.
So
thank you. I bought Chelsea's mom's car, and I'm gonna be driving that baby back to Florida.
Oh yeah, guys, you bought my car.
That's right. So I took a ride in Chelsea's car a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, man, I like this vehicle. She's like, I want to get rid of it. So, all right, thank you everyone so much. I had a great time tonight, and we will see you next month on our next Zoom call.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.